Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all to another day here at PALS TV. We have a lot of exciting content to bring you. We can't thank you enough for joining us this morning and spending it with us here at PALS TV. We did a lot of fun things yesterday, variety of content. I know personally we had a blast with it, and I hope you do as well. We want to continue to evolve and grow with the episodes and the different broadcasts. So again, you're a big part of that. We've always wanted to remain cutting edge here at PALS and continue to give you the highest level of service that you all deserve. And we will continue to do that, and your feedback will help in us figuring out what's working for you and what isn't, and continue to evolve and grow from what we've already started here. So this morning, we're going to continue our segment over in Steubenville with our Explore and Travel Leisure with Amanda. We had a lot of fun yesterday with it. The Smithsonian was a blast. I know for me personally, it's been a long time since I got to see that in person. Well over 25 years, actually. I think I went with Michael on our class trip in high school. That's how long it was. So I know it's like going back again in time, and I loved it, and I'm sure today will be wonderful as well. So enjoy your trip through the Natural History Museum in Washington, D.C. with Amanda, and continuing to give us your feedback, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Hi, everyone. So today we are going to be going into the Smithsonian again to the David H. Koch Hall of Fossils. So let me get this pulled up for you guys, and then I will let you see my screen. All right, so we are back in our main entrance at the Smithsonian, and here's our big elephant one more time. He takes up pretty much the entire lobby of the front at the Smithsonian. Let me get my screen situated here. There we go. All right, so today we're going to be going into here, the David H. Koch Hall of Fossils and Deep Time. So let's head on in there. Main entrance is where we're heading. So journey through deep time, exploring Earth's distant past helps us to understand the present and plan our future. See, started off little microorganisms, and as it goes along, bigger and bigger, more evolution. So let's just take a look around. Do a nice little circle here. We got a lot of exhibits to look at today. And this is where all of our dinosaur bones and all that good stuff is going to be hiding out. So let's head on in. So right off the bat, we're going to check this guy out. This is a giant ground sloth. So they lived between 109,000 to 11,000 years ago. It was a species of giant elephant-sized sloths. So when you think of a sloth, remember Sid the Sloth off of Ice Age? Like him, only bigger. A lot bigger, to be quite honest. That's why they were called the giant ground sloth, and they were in what is now South America. Only a few animals at that time were around the same size as him. So that would have been your mammoths and your giant rhinoceroses, things of that. So these giant ground sloths could weigh up to 4 tons and be as tall as 20 feet in length from the top of its head, so right up here, to the very end of its tail down here. After giant ground sloths went extinct, the ecosystem changed. So what would happen is a sloth would eat something. Avocados were actually around back then. They would eat avocados or things of that sort, and after they digested them, their seeds would come out in their dung, and that's how a lot of plants back in that day were planted in different areas, were from the animals eating them. So let's zoom in a little bit on him and we can just see how big he is. Can you imagine seeing something like that out in the wild? Very big. Look at his real thick bones. He's got 3 fingers and barely a thumb right there. So that is a big guy. All right, so next we are going to head over to back over to the main path, and right here, what we're going to be looking at is a giant American mastodon. So they are distantly related to elephants, and they're actually more related to an elephant than a mammoth is. I know most of the time we think mammoth with the big furry coats. When mastodons went extinct, we don't know a whole lot about their history, to be quite honest. What we do know is that they typically lived in herds and they lived in the forest. And they lived, you know, they grazed just like regular elephants today. So they had a shorter body and shorter legs than a mammoth. So that's what made them different. Their build is actually similar to an Asian elephant. Large males were about 9 feet 2 inches in height, and they could go up to 10 feet, and they weighed 7 to 8 tons. So that's a big guy there. So just a little zoom in. And if you look, their teeth were a little bit different too. Their teeth are a little bit more pointy to get through the rougher fibers that trees and shrubs and the grasses they would have eaten. But you can't really tell. Their teeth are actually cupped though underneath there as well. So they could tear into the leaf and grind it down. Okay, so here is our giant American mastodon. All right, so now we're going to take a look around. We're going to be going to our next exhibit. We're going to zoom in over here real quick. And these are just some herd animals. If you look, these are actually horses. Back in the day, horses were actually very small. If you look right here, there's an outline of a normal everyday sized horse in comparison to the size a horse would have been back then. They were very small. They were basically the size of, if you've ever seen the little Shetland ponies. They were roughly about that size, and as they evolved, they got bigger and bigger. So next off, we are going to go over here to the not so distant past. So this right here is a Chillicothe mammal. They could rear up, and they actually show it reared up here. They could rear up and use their clawed feet to pull branches down off the tree. They are related to horses and rhinoceroses. However, they have no living descendants. So unfortunately, when their species died out, that was the last of them. You can see a very similar face shape to a horse. So there is that. Pretty neat, I thought. So now we are going to head on over. Just take a quick look around. There's not a whole lot in this area other than this guy right here. Now we are off to costs and benefits of living large. So right here we have some different creatures. It appears to be a stegosaurus up here. They don't, unfortunately, put a listing of what is what. That is actually I know that's a velociraptor right there. Believe it or not, velociraptors were not that big. I know we think of Jurassic Park and they're big and scary. Velociraptors were actually no bigger than modern day turkeys. So they were little guys. So let's go ahead and read this here. The costs and benefits of living large. Many different mammals lineages, including rhinos and brontotheres, evolved large bodies during this time. Although living big can be beneficial, it also has disadvantages. Large bodies are not as vulnerable to predators and changes in temperatures, but they need more resources to survive. So, big living had its perks and its cons. Let's spin around, see what else we got here. Over here, these are sea cows. So you got some skeletons there. They had a longer head back in the day. They were much bigger. Oops, didn't mean to push that button. Putting the sea in sea cow. Today's sea cows, aquatic mammals distantly related to elephants, live and feed in warm waters, but their ancestors were terrestrial. They lived on land. So these animals back in the day, they could be in land or in water. All right, so let's head off to our next exhibit. I wanted to show you over here. We have a small animal of some sort. You know, think of what it might have been. They don't really specify, or at least I can't read what it is, but it looks like it's related to some sort of cat, possibly a bobcat, or even a small lion back in the day. We honestly don't know, though. All right, so now let's head off to life in the Neogene Ocean. So again, we have our sea cows we looked at earlier. And this is a prehistoric rhinoceros here. They have very big tusks. Let's see if we can zoom in on this sign a little bit more. Maybe it will tell us. Aha. So they tell us it's an herbivore skull. And I cannot read the name, but now that I'm closer in on it, it kind of looks like a capybara or a badger. All right, so we are head off to our next location. And these are some river fossils. We have exotic lakes and woodlands. So we have our flying animals. We have dragonflies. Those were even around back then. This right here, if anyone has a guess of what it might look like, it kind of looks like a iguana. Many reptiles require year-round warmth to survive. Today, few species live in the northern United States, but the forests and lakes of a warmer climate 50 million years ago provided homes to abundant lizards, crocodiles, and turtles. And this is a monitor lizard, it says. So there's our answers to what it was. Take a spin around here, see what we can see. There's a giant prehistoric turtle. Okay, so now let's head over to our next location. Oh, buddy, this guy. So now we are getting into our dinosaur bones. So here we go here. We have a dinosaur hanging out, a couple of them, and right there is a crocodile. The dinosaurs lived in a rich ecosystem that flourished before the asteroid impact. Fossils from Western North America open a window into this ancient world. So let's go down here, see if we can figure out what we have. So we have a hadrosaurid dinosaur, lived 68 to 66 million years ago, and he is from Wyoming. Edmontosaurus and other duck-billed dinosaurs had unusual hands that let them walk on all fours. The fingers were long and bound together like a column and ended in hooves, but the wrist and thumb were entirely lost. Count the 4 fingers. So let's see if we can see the 4 fingers on there. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I see a little thumb looking out right there. Do you guys see it too? All right, so let's read about our next one. Orthopod dinosaur, lived 68 to 66 million years ago. He's from Wyoming as well. Tendons and cartilage shown in the red to the left are rarely preserved, but this Dascalosaurus has both. The long tendons crisscrossing the backbone may have provided support for movement. The irregular shapes on the ribs are fossilized cartilage. So let's see if we can find the irregular shapes on the ribs. Oh, I see them. You see it right there? And you got some here. So he's quite a bit bigger than this guy here. Okay. Let's see what we got behind us. Do we have anything behind us? Oh, got a strange person sitting on a bench apparently. All right, so that is our dinosaurs. I'm going to zoom in again and we'll take one last look at these. Okay, so now we're going to head to our next location. We are going to go way up here. To a giant deer and a bison mummy. So that is a big deer right there for sure. And let's see if we can figure out what our animals are. So we have it says a woolly mammoth. You can kind of see him over there through the glass, unfortunately. It doesn't give us the best optics, but you can see his head right there and the tusks going down. We have a wolverine. So I believe the wolverine is right here. Interesting. Oh, I'm sorry. Right here is our wolverine. Thought it looked funny. And he came from Cumberland Cave in Allegheny County, Maryland. So then we have a black bear. That seems better. Looks pretty similar to today's black bears. And finally, we have our giant deer right here. See if we can get a few stats on our giant deer. No, unfortunately, I can't see it. But if you look, it kind of looks a little bit more similar to a moose that you would see than a deer. So bridges allowed migration. As ice sheets expanded, sea levels dropped, exposing land bridges between continents and islands. Many animals, including mammoths, moved between Asia and North America over a land bridge called Beringina. Humans migrated both by land and sea across the bridge in boats that hug the coastline. So there you go. You can see this is where the land bridge would have been, right between these two areas, Siberia and Alaska. All right, so let's find out a little bit about the woolly mammoth. Perhaps the best known mammal of the ice ages, lived in cold steppes covered with a wide range of grasses, shrubs, and wildflowers, providing a varied diet. They likely evolved in Asia and migrated across Beringina about 100,000 years ago. Asian elephants are their closest living relatives. And then we have our wolverine, which we had looked at. That is this creature right here. Wolverines descended from Plesiogulo, which originated in Eurasia around 7 million years ago and later crossed into North America. They evolved in North America and moved between Eurasia and North America until the land bridge disappeared under the rising seas. This species still lives in the northern forests of North America and Eurasia. And finally, a black bear. We all know what a black bear is. And then our giant deer. The giant deer went extinct almost 8,000 years ago, but its closest living relative, the fallow deer, still survives in Europe today. Megaloceros ranged throughout Eurasia, but unlike black bears, wolverines, and mammoths, it never migrated to North America. And then look, it says right here that us as people, we also migrated to different areas. So that explains how we have people that live all over the world. Okay, so let's take a look around at our different locations. And now we are going to head over to another area in the museum. We are down to the Cretaceous seas. So right here, we've got some more animals. Let's see if we can figure out what you think they are. That guy's got a big boulder, it looks like, on the end of his tail. Wonder what it is. See if we can figure it out. See if we can find the guy with the big boulder on his tail. So I believe it's an ankylosauran dinosaur, tail club. Lived 72 to 71 million years ago, and he came from Horseshoe Canyon Formation in Alberta, Canada. The end of the tail of this ankylosaur is formed by two huge osteroderms that grew in the animal's skin. When mature, they fuse to the tail and can be swung like a club. So I'm gonna guess that he probably used this club for protection from other predators. So then we also have a Pachyosaur. He was a Stegosaurus validum, lived 77 to 76 million years ago, and he also came from the same location as the dinosaur we just saw. There's a picture of him. The rare Stegosaurus was a small two-legged plant-eating dinosaur distantly related to the Triceratops. Its skull bore many small knobs and spikes arranged around a fixed central bone. They may have used their strange heads in dominance competitions. So right here, this is that dinosaur, and you can see how its head, it's got that big padding thing of formation of bone for headbutting and things. And then I think our last one, trying to see where he's hiding in here. Oh, up there. Maybe? Nope. So the other dinosaur appears to be hiding somewhere. Maybe back in there because we can't really see. So we got all kinds of dinosaurs right there. I'll just back out. I'll let you look at them again. They're definitely big guys. Tell you what, hanging out in the museum with you guys, I definitely want to take a trip there once everything's back to normal. So here we have some different animals as well. This is a mosar with a plesiosaur, so he had eaten another creature at some point. This rare fossil preserves stomach contents that show one part of Cretaceous marine food web. The large bones of a plesiosaur, a marine reptile to your right, were found inside the rib cage of the Tylosaurus. In front of you, they have tooth damage and pitting made by Tylosaurus's stomach acids. The smaller bones come from a third species, probably the Paleosaurus's last meal. So let's see if we can look in the stomach. Oh, yep, right there are the bones where it had eaten something as well. So this fish here was inside this fish. Up here we have a species of bird, it appears to be. And over here, can't see super well with the glass, we have a giant turtle. Find any information on it. I don't know, guys, it's awfully far over. Oh, marine turtles, okay. Several different groups of land-living turtles moved to the sea, each independently etched a streamlined body with flippers and a reduced shell. Some, such as the I cannot read the word, became true giants, weighing more than 2,000 pounds, some of them. So that was a big turtle. Okay, so let's head off to our next location. Here into the Jurassic. So here is a big old guy and his couple big old guys right there. Let's see what we can find out about them, hopefully. Let's see here. See if we can get to the front of the exhibit so we can see them a little better. Well, there we go. So right there, you can see his tail goes way back there and his long neck up here. Let's see what we can find out about him. 201 million to 145 million years ago, giant dinosaurs roamed the world. Dinosaurs flourished in warm ecosystems from pole to pole. They lived everywhere on land. Other reptiles swam in the sea and flew in the sky. A huge variety of insects, smaller reptiles, and mammals munched on plants and each other. In this warm world, even the poles were green with plants, and shallow inland seas covered many areas of the continents. Gigantic plant-eating dinosaurs trampled the ground as they moved across the land. The supercontinent Pangaea continued breaking apart. High sea levels helped to keep global temperatures stable and seasons mild. Let's see, how much heavier? So this is a sauropod arm bone right here. So that is a big bone. You can see by its arm bone that Brachiosaurus was bigger than Diplosaurus. The Brachiosaurus humerus is 2 times as thick as that of a Diplosaurus. That means it came from an animal that weighed nearly 5 times as much, about 140,000 pounds. So that is a big guy. Okay, so let's see. Spin around a little bit, see what we can see. Nothing too exciting. So let's go over here. I think we were here once, but I'm trying to, there's the big guy we were looking for. We all know who that is. So let's find out about the king of carnivores. Tyrannosaurus Rex. Lived 67 to 86 million years ago, and he came from Hell Creek Formation in Montana. In 1998, it appears, researcher Kathleen discovered this T-Rex specimen while hiking on land managed by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. After a little digging with a garden shovel and a jackknife, she unearthed the first complete T-Rex arm ever found. Dr. Jack of the Rockies led the mission to excavate the rest of the specimen and was loaned to the Smithsonian in 2014 for 50 years. So there's our big guy. He is absolutely huge. And we'll zoom in a little bit more. You can see the sharp teeth and the tiny arms. Can you imagine trying to make your bed with those little arms? Very, very big guy. And I can't be sure. It appears they had 2 sets of ribs if you look. I never noticed this before. There is a set underneath and a set on top. Either that or these are like tendons for their stomach. But I never noticed that before. Let's find out about his unlucky companion there. So I'm going to say it's a type of Stegosaurus of some sort because I can't really read it. So he lived 68 to 66 million years ago. This is a composite specimen assembled from the remains of several individuals, Triceratops, okay, I was right. Scientists used digital scans to make sure the different bones were located in the right, I'm going to assume, way. While dinosaurs are very rare, less than 1% of all fossil dinosaur skeletons are complete. So that's interesting. So that tells us that a lot of times when you see bones such as this in a museum, they are actually in a collection of lots and lots of different T-Rexes that they've put together like a puzzle to give us an idea of what they look like. Let's look here. What do we have? So right here, whoop, we were already there. So let's head over to our next location. And just a little bit more picture of, you know, there's the Brachiosaurus. We have our birds. The bird bones are actually harder for scientists to find than typical dinosaur bones because bird bones, even though they would typically be a lot smaller and they're hollow, so it makes it much more difficult to find. And then we have spikes versus claws. Now these guys all seem to be in a tussle here. See if we can figure out what we got here. So we have a stegosaur, lived 157 to 153 years ago, and he is from Wyoming. So you can see the plates on the top of his head, or I'm sorry, his back. And then we also have, that appears to be who he's arguing with, we have a theropod. He was a predatory dinosaur. This is the type of species, the first one named and described scientifically. Scientists compare all other fossils of this species with this example. Like most dinosaurs, there are very few specimens known and more are less complete than this one. So he is missing some bones and they still have to find some more bones to complete the puzzle. All right, so let's head over here to that. So we're actually going to go up here. This is going to take us to the top where we are going to be able to see just the whole exhibit, and I'll zoom in as much as I can so you can just take everything in. So there's the 2 different long neck dinosaurs, and we have our T-Rex. Oh, there's a better picture of our mastodon, I believe. Nice and a big picture of everything. All right, so now let's head off to another location. We've been there. Easy to get turned around in here, that's for sure. Okay. We go. We have what appears to be an ancient crocodile or alligator. So let's find out what we got here. Patasaurs resemble crocodiles, but they are not closely related. This is a case of convergent evolution. The two groups independently evolve similar features and adaptations for similar lifestyles. So it looks like a crocodile or an alligator, but it was not. Let's see what else we got here. Got some small rodents, and those are just jaw casts. And then we have an early dinosaur. Arapater was one of the earliest dinosaurs, a medium-sized omnivore. It had many small serrated teeth. It walked with 2 legs and had 3 claws on its 5-fingered hand. So right there is that guy, 1, 2, 3 claws. That's the only other full-size one, apparently. There's one more, but unfortunately he's over there, so we're not going to be able to see him too well. But I will zoom out and just, we can take a moment to check it out. Just some really interesting stuff in here. Here. Okay, look, we got some more creatures here. See if we can find out what we got here. Early synthepoid. Dr. Nicholas uncovered this intact cephalodon in its death pose in 1958. He had the specimen prepared for display, but the museum didn't have room to show it until this exhibition opened 31 years ago. So there he is right there. Let's see if we can zoom in a little bit on him. He is not looking too healthy there. Thinking it had something to do with this guy. Let's see who he is. The earliest synthepoids are sometimes called plateosaurs, I believe. Although they may look like reptiles, they are more closely related to mammals and include our early ancestors. So there's that guy. You can see he's got big spines and a nice long tail. If you check out these teeth, definitely some sharp teeth. Okay, let's take a spin around, see what else we find. Strange sharks and freaky fish. That is definitely a freaky looking fish. Cartilaginous fishes, like sharks and chimeras, thrived in carboniferous, there we go, seas. Although they had evolved millions of years earlier, more distinctive types lived at this time than any other point in Earth's history. So they were definitely interesting looking skeletons, I guess, if you even want to call them that. So we are about out of time today, and believe it or not, we're only about halfway through our fossils. So tomorrow we will finish up this section of the museum. So what I'm going to do is, if you have a question you want to ask, feel free to unmute yourself and you can ask a question, and I can try to answer it as much as I can for you guys. So does anybody have any questions?
Well, that was a lot of fun. I know that, Amanda. Thank you for running us through that tour. Personally,
No problem.
I love
Thank you.
animals. I always interested in hearing their history. I know that it repeats itself, and it's important to to understanding what went wrong and why they wouldn't stink, some of these animals, so that we can prevent it from happening in the future.
Absolutely.
You know, just to get some conversation out there. I know personally I love animals, so my favorite dinosaur, Triceratops. So I went and got my kids Triceratops, if you can see it.
That's great.
And animals, love alligators. Let me get this up on the screen. Love alligators. And you talked about this quite a bit too, Wolverines.
Yep.
Big fan of Wolverines. So what's your favorite animal out there? If you could tell, what do you guys enjoy? What do you enjoy, Amanda? What's your favorite?
So I like the giant sloth. CJ, what did you like? I saw you raise your hand.
Giant sloth.
Hold on, you're still muted, honey. Hold on.
T-Rex.
There you go. What was it?
The T-Rex.
Tyrannosaurus.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
That is a good one.
Yeah.
He is awesome looking.
Do you like the Jurassic Park movies, Caitlin?
Yes.
Did you? Yeah, me too. Love dinosaurs.
Me too. Does anybody else have a favorite animal we saw? Strong silent type, it's okay. All right, everyone. Well, tomorrow we will go through the rest of this particular hall in the Smithsonian. We still have, like I said, about half to go. And we will talk more about it tomorrow. Thank you, everyone, for coming and hanging out with me today.
Some great job, Amanda. Thank you, everyone. Again, that was our Steubenville Explore Travel and Leisure segment. I know we're going to kind of build off of that each day and each week. So if you have any suggestions, if there's anything you're interested in seeing in the world that we might be able to bring to you here, please give us those suggestions. Similar to yesterday, we'll be taking about a 15-minute break or so, and then coming back at the top of the hour. Our next segment will be live from Gallia, down in Gallipolis, Gallia County, learning about some history. Again, building off of what we just learned about, some education with Ed Cromley. So we will see you in about 15 minutes. Come back and join us. Thanks.
Bye, everyone.